Hello there, my name is Noah Bennett, and I want to thank you for being here with me tonight. Before we begin our story, I invite you to take a few quiet moments just for yourself. Find a comfortable position. Let your shoulders soften. Rest your hands wherever they feel most at ease. If you wish, gently close your eyes. Tonight we're traveling to New York City and spending an evening on the beautiful rooftop terrace of a skyscraper overlooking the lively, light-filled city. Thank you to Angela for writing this one. Ari will be reading it for us. So, my friends, it's time to get nice and snug in bed now, so you can feel comfortably settled and drift off whenever the time is right. There's no hurry with this process. All you have to concern yourself with is permitting your body and mind to relax and rest. Sleep comes naturally, without force or effort. So just allow yourself to accept that and enjoy the sensations of peace and stillness as you lie here, relaxing and resting. See if you can slow and lengthen your breathing, even if it's just by a small amount, sensing how those deeper breaths aid relaxation. Let your body follow the lead of your breathing pattern, slowing everything down. Your mind will most likely wander from time to time as thoughts come and go. Some may even cause a bit of disruption to the peace and stillness you are manifesting. That is quite normal. But you are not your thoughts. You are simply the observer of them. So, if and when your mind wanders, just gently bring your focus back to your own breathing and to the peace and stillness of the space you are in at this very moment. As you lie back, letting your body grow heavier and more at ease, listen softly to the distant murmur of the city, a hum that rises and falls like the ocean's breath. Let it carry you upward until you find yourself on a quiet rooftop high above New York City. This is where our story begins. It's a warm evening, one of those rare, tender nights when the air feels almost like silk against your skin. The sky deepens into violet as the sun slips behind the skyline. All around you, windows begin to glow, one by one, until the whole city shines like a constellation made by human hands. You're standing on a wide terrace, perched between Battery Park and the South Street seaport at the very southern edge of Manhattan. It's one of your secret places, a little haven above the noise. From here, you can see the shimmer of the East River, and beyond it, the soft lights of Brooklyn, flickering like a second horizon. To your left is the famous Brooklyn Bridge and the seaport, and to your right is Governor's Island and the Statue of Liberty. Behind you is Manhattan, a 23-square-mile island of skyscrapers, thousands of buildings in varying colors, shapes, and sizes, neatly slotted together. The rooftop terrace has reinforced glass panels around the perimeter so as not to detract from the view. With the exception of a door in the center to reach the lower floors and a canopied bar area, the terrace is open to the air. Strings of light bulbs casting a warm yellow glow are draped between posts, creating a fairy tale atmosphere. Giant ceramic pots hold small trees and shrubs with pink and orange flowers blossoming on them. There's a small garden area, a tranquil oasis with a water feature, lounge chairs, and large sculptures. To your right, an all-weather corner sofa with plush cushions offers uninterrupted views of the East River. Draped across the back of it are a few cozy blankets. You walk over to the sofa and sit down. From here, you can see lines of New York's iconic yellow taxicabs. They drive slowly across the Brooklyn Bridge, transporting people home after a long day of work in the city. This bridge was built in the late 1800s. On its opening day in 1883, thousands of people walked across it in celebration. It was the first structure to connect the boroughs of Manhattan and Brooklyn. Before that, only ferries made the journey across the water. It's easy to tell a Brooklyn Bridge apart from all of the other bridges in New York City because of its Gothic suspension towers. They look a bit like old church windows without the stained glass. As you gaze down at this marvelous feat of engineering, as if by magic, twinkling white lights begin to illuminate the bridge from one side to the other. They sparkle and shine brightly like hundreds of tiny stars, reflecting their light onto the source of the water below. Across the river in Brooklyn, joggers run in pairs along the promenade of a riverside park, and nearby, a vintage carousel slowly turns, painted horses bobbing up and down. The borough unfurls before you like an intricate woven blanket, a blend of colors and textures with traditional brownstone buildings, urban green spaces, and modern hotels with restaurants and people sitting outside on the East River. Speedboats and sailboats navigate the waters with ease, leaving foamy white trails behind them. You notice one elegant yacht gliding by. It stands out from the other boats with large, billowing white sails and an impressive blue flag at the stern. You hear the faint sound of a foghorn as a ferry departs from the dock at the nearby South Street seaport. As you glance down, you see groups of people gathered on the deck, many snapping pictures of the famed New York City skyline at dusk. Seagulls circle above the ferry as it moves away from the shore. They hover in the air before gracefully swooping down onto the pier. A few birds peck at the wooden posts and surface of the dock, seeking out any tasty morsels that commuters and tourists may have left behind. Next to the pier, the rotor blades of a helicopter whir as it prepares to take off from a big H symbol painted on the tarmac. The helicopter begins its slow rise, lifting gracefully into the air until the pilot hovers almost at your eye level. For a moment, it hangs there, suspended against the fading colors of the sky. Then it tips its nose downward and drifts away into the distance. You can't help but wonder who's inside. Maybe it's carrying some business tycoon home after a long day of negotiations. Or perhaps it's filled with wide-eyed tourists savoring a sunset tour over New York City, seeing the skyline for the very first time. Your gaze follows the helicopter's path as it glides along the East River. It slows,
almost reverently, as it passes before the Statue of Liberty. Lady Liberty stands proud and luminous, 151 feet tall on her own, and 305 feet when you count the pedestal beneath her. She's wrapped in soft mint green copper, her crown tipped with glowing points of light that sparkle in the deepening evening. The island she stands upon is ringed with lawns and gentle clusters of trees, a small oasis of calm cradling one of the world's most iconic symbols of hope. Made of cast iron, stainless steel, and copper, its original color was reddish-brown, but the copper is oxidized over the years, which is why it's now a soft green. The metal framework was constructed by none other than Gustave Eiffel, the man who designed the iconic tower in Paris that bears his name. After a few moments, the helicopter continues its journey along the river towards the Empire State Building, in an area of New York known as Midtown. You can just about see the rooftop of the Empire State Building from where you stand. It's a prime example of 1930s Art Deco architecture, standing 102 stories tall. A classic amidst a sea of mirrored glass skyscrapers and brick properties from the Gilded Age. You notice that this evening the observation platform is changing color from red to blue to white. You pause for a moment, catching the scent of the flowering plants on the rooftop drifting upon the gentle breeze. Inhaling the sweet fragrance, the scent lingers and dances, activating all of your senses. In that moment, you realize that the city sounds are different up here. There's no chatter and no filler noise, just the distant sound of horns and sirens. You find them strangely comforting, familiar, and distinctive to New York. The skies are almost completely dark now, and the buildings of downtown have all turned their lights on. Thousands of tiny white squares, many with people in them, each with their own unique stories to tell. In one window nearby, several floors below, you see two women dancing around an apartment while singing into microphones. A few stories below them, to your left, you notice another roof terrace. This one is decorated with banners and flags for a celebration. Several people are standing next to circular tables, holding gifts, as a figure in chef's whites carries a huge cake towards them. You can barely see the people on the streets below as you're so high up. They look like tiny dots moving north, south, east, and west, like they're in some kind of video game. You can't make out specific vehicles, just red taillights, beaming white headlights, and the longer rectangular shapes of buses. You imagine that this is what it must be like if you were seeing the Earth from the windows of a spaceship. Millions of tiny dots and lights randomly moving around. The temperature is cooling slightly now. You walk to the canopied area to make a warm drink, and while sipping from the mug, you listen intently. You realize that the city sounds like white noise, blended with a gentle whispering breeze. You notice the different architectural styles of the buildings and try to spot the recent additions amidst the more historical structures. Some of the houses in the South Street Seaport area are older brownstones, like the ones you see in the movies. Residences with extending escape ladders and stairs attached to the facade. As you look towards the financial district in Wall Street, you notice that many towers are new, glitzy, and constructed from glass. They are punctuated by Grecian-style halls and buildings with fluted columns and steps leading to grand entrances. Familiar logos are splashed across the rooftops and sides of the buildings. They promote the latest fashion brands or media outlets. On other buildings, moving advertisements are projected onto the exteriors. They showcase exotic travel destinations and promote beauty products or television shows. It is at this moment you realize that New York City at night reminds you a little of a computer server center. The dark skyscrapers and linear grid system is combined with intermittent flashing lights. It almost feels like the city is trying to show you a complex piece of code. A code that would help you unlock all of New York's history and mysteries. You smile at the thought as you place your now empty mug back on the counter and walk towards the greenery on the rooftop. Gathered in one corner of the terrace is a small garden. Lush plants, fragrant blooms, and slender trees rising from large ceramic pots. Comfortable loungers rest nearby, each topped with soft cushions, and a square of green turf spreads across the floor like a tiny lawn lifted high above the city. It feels like your own private sanctuary in the sky. At the center stands a small water feature, carved from smooth white marble. Atop it, an angel spreads her wings gracefully as water slips gently past her, each droplet falling into the shallow pool below with a soft, steady rhythm. Wrapped in a warm blanket, you settle into one of the loungers tucked between the trees. You lean back, letting the city breeze brush your skin, and let your gaze drift upward. Far above, you catch the blinking lights of an aircraft as it glides silently across the sky, preparing for its slow descent into a nearby airport. And you find yourself wondering where in the world it began its journey and where it is going to next. The sound of the water is so relaxing and so different from the white noise of the city that you decide to spend a little more time here. After several moments, you remember the real reason that you came to the rooftop this evening. It wasn't to see the illuminated skyscrapers or the ferries on the water. It was to watch the light display. It's an alternative to the fireworks that the city is used to. And you've read that these drones can make all kinds of patterns while being operated from a console. It's said to be the largest display in New York City's history. And tonight, you have a front row seat. You slowly get up from the lounger, leaving the tranquil rooftop oasis behind, and walk around the terrace back towards the sofa. There's a kind of silence that you've never known in New York City, a sense of anticipation as everyone awaits the event. Even the white noise appears to have disappeared. The air is still. Many people have gathered by the South Street seaport along the harbor front
and on Brooklyn Bridge. Boats and ferries are stationary on the river, and across the water, people on picnic blankets lounge on the grass in the riverside parks. You make yourself comfortable on the sofa and look up at the sky. Ambient music fills the air, a soothing, ethereal soundtrack, perfect for this time of the evening. You hear the faint sounds of clapping and cheering coming from the promenade below. Then slowly from between the boats, the shape of a huge humpback whale appears to emerge from the depths of the river in sparkling ice blue lights. The whale ascends into the sky, moving slowly, flicking its tail back and forth. Beneath the whale, even more lights make rippling patterns in the water. A sea creature hovers for a few seconds before appearing to dive back into the murky depths as the lights disappear once more. It's the most incredible sight you've ever seen, and you find yourself wondering how the lights can be arranged to create such distinctive shapes. A few moments later, your eyes are drawn across the river. In front of an old warehouse building by the water's edge, a giant oak tree appears to sprout from the ground. The tree forms slowly with the lights. First the brown trunk, then the branches, followed by dozens of green leaves. You observe as birds created by even more lights fly from across the river to land and perch on the tree branches. A ferry honks its horn in approval, and people in the parks and by the harbor let out a huge cheer as the lights fade into nothingness once more. Your attention is captured by those appearing on Governor's Island. Around the perimeter, giant flowers are formed by the drones, and bees equally as large hover around them. You realize that all of these elements symbolize the wonders of nature, the wildlife, birds, flowers, and trees. As the ambient music fades, the lights slowly dim before disappearing back into the night once more. The next light show appears above the skyscrapers of New York City behind you. The drones fly into the sky before forming the shape of a giant red heart. The word love is spelled out above it on a wavy banner in the air. You find the display mesmerizing and the message heartwarming. The shape holds in place, then begins to spark with brilliant white fireworks from the sides. The fireworks jet high into the sky, sizzling and dazzling like bolts of electricity, followed by showers of stars. You wrap the blanket around you, nestling down in the sofa. You can imagine in the office buildings all across New York, people will have stopped working to gaze out the windows at the spectacle. As the lights fade into the night sky, a new piece of music begins as the most complex display of the evening starts. Your eyes are drawn above the river once more as our solar system appears bit by bit. The sun in a bright orangey yellow, followed by Mercury, Venus, and blue and green tones to represent the land and oceans of planet Earth. A little further along is the red planet of Mars, the giant Jupiter, followed by the familiar rings of Saturn. Even the distant outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and tiny far-off Pluto, seem to shimmer on the edge of the sky. The sight is breathtaking, almost unreal,
and you feel a swell of gratitude for being witness to such a stunning cosmic display. But this time, the planets don't drift away. Instead, after a few quiet minutes, their lights begin to shift and gather, rearranging themselves slowly, gracefully, until the sky blossoms into the full map of the constellations. The air grows still, utterly silent, as though the world itself has paused to let the universe reveal its secrets. Before you, star patterns unfold like ancient handwriting. You trace them with your eyes. Ursa Major, the Great Bear, Sagittarius, the Archer, and there, the elegant curve of Cygnus, the Swan. Normally, from this part of the northern hemisphere, you can only glimpse certain constellations at certain times of the year. But tonight, the sky is open fully, offering everything at once. The whole universe gathered above you like a gift. But tonight, during this drone light show, you can see everything, every constellation, all at once. The lights remain in the sky for several minutes before disappearing. The music stops, and soon after, the boats resume their journey along the river. The city returns to normal as people begin to maneuver themselves once more to where they need to be. You smile, hugging the blanket around you, glad that you got to experience such a wonderful event. The spectacle has left a positive energy lingering in the atmosphere. You realize that you don't wish to leave the terrace yet, preferring to immerse yourself in the harmonious vibes. You place a pillow beneath your head, and a gentle breeze caresses your face as you curl up on the sofa. As you begin to relax, slowly closing your eyes, you remember the entire evening. The way the city streets and the lights of the cars looked from a bird's eye perspective. The way the skyscrapers lit up like a computer server as darkness fell. You recall the natural wonders of the light show, along with the giant heart, planets, and constellations displayed above the river. And you smile to yourself, with only the city's familiar white noise as company once more. You think that you begin to realize the event's true message. It's that although technology may exist in the world today and can do amazing things, only nature and love are a constant in the grand scheme of the universe. As sleep overcomes you on the 70th floor of this rooftop in downtown New York City, you feel a sense of positivity about the future, and drifting off to sleep, you look forward to tomorrow and all the magic, joy, and happiness that life will bring.